Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Glad to be here with you. I'm taping as usual. I tape on in the mornings when I'm fresh. Um, and I am going to take a look at some things today. Woo! How about this whistleblower complaint that we understand that Tulsi Gabbard apparently locked away in a safe for 8 months. Supposedly, she said she furnished it around Jared Kushner. These foreign nationals had a conversation. The conversation was intercepted, and Jared Kushner's name was allegedly, supposedly, perhaps brought up in it in relation to Iran, we're thinking. So I want to go into that today and see if we can get to some information around that. Really, really interesting because among many things, we've seen Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, this dynamic duo on behalf of Frump. We've seen them operate in the Gaza situation, right, with Israel. We know that Bibi hauled tail back over here to have a little session with Frump, Rubio, Witkoff, Kushner to talk about what. So we're going to take a look at that and see if we can get some insight into what's that really about and what Kushner is up to in relation to Iran. Excuse me. This is especially important, you all, because today, from what we understand, Hegs breath, as many of you say, Hegs breath and Frump are going to Fort Bragg to talk to the special forces who were in members of the special forces who were in charge of the Maduro capture in Venezuela, right? So they're going there to recognize their accomplishment, but like, is this really about getting them on board to get ready to make their next move, perhaps in Iran, especially because we know that there are Witkoff and Kushner also visited the USS Abraham Lincoln, one sorry y'all, one of two aircrafts, huge aircrafts that have been moved out of the Caribbean Sea and going into the Middle East. For what? For what is, Iran and these nuclear talks. So we're going to get into that. The other thing that Spirit led me to is DOJ surveillance of the Congress people who are reviewing the Epstein files. What is that about? Bondi showed up at her hearing the other day with a burn book, had all these records of who had searched what, when, and why. What is that about? And what we're also seeing yesterday, there was a grainy video released through a British news outlet, if I understand, of inside a video taken inside of Epstein's home. We're learning more and more that he had all of these surveillance cameras installed all over the place. Are we going to start to see more videos? I want to take a look at that. And the final thing, four things, so I got to move fast today. I want to respect your time. Commercial flights perhaps at risk. Many of you reached out to me. We heard about this airspace being closed in around El Paso, Texas, and we were like, "What's up with that?" We understand, apparently the Border Patrol shot down some what they were saying was supposed to be Mexican cartel drones, and turned out to be party balloons. But yeah, something's up. Something's up with that, and it's also there's this face off, from what I understand, the research that I did, increasingly between Hegs Breath and Sean Duffy, head of the FAA, because there's no communication. These moves that are being made by the Pentagon, apparently to address Mexican cartel drones, but it's impacting commercial airspace. And so Sean Duffy is hooping and hollering about Head's Breath not communicating with him, and want to ask, is there a real risk to commercial flights that are happening specifically in that region of the country, but hey, maybe elsewhere. Okay. Woo, had to get all that out. By the way, if you're new to the channel, I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Tarot reader, former newspaper journalist, so I do enjoy every day before I tape, you should see me. I'm sitting here probably about an hour, just looking and trying to get information before I come to you and before we go to spirit together. So I really enjoy this work. I'm also an initiated priestess in both West African and Celtic and pagan. We'll call it pagan traditions. So I try to use all of that to give you some good content here on the channel. Appreciate the hypes. Thank you so very much, trying to grow the channel and continue to give you good content. So I appreciate all of your participation. I really do, more than I can say. Members, mwah, you know it. You know it already. Got some big things on the horizon for you. Be on the lookout for a members video probably this weekend. Got a big announcement, okay? All right, let's go in. First of all, this Tulsi Gabbard locking up this whistleblower complaint for some 8 months. She's saying because she gave it to Susie Wiles, and I guess Susie Wiles had some things to say. Spirit, please help me understand. Calm my energy down. What's happening with Jared Kushner and this call, the whistleblower complaint, this intercepted conversation between these foreign nationals around Kushner's role in Iran? What was that really about? What was that about? What do we need to know, or what should we know? What can you tell us about Kushner's role? What was said about Kushner in that conversation, and what role he's having in Iran? Five of Swords is the first card out. Definitely communications, but efforts to confuse the communications. Seven of Wands. Something growing around Kushner's role. The Hermit at the base. I'm doing a Celtic cross. I was led to do that. The Sun in the recent past. The Hangman up above it. So the subterfuge and things evolving, but also things coming to light, because the Hangman, for all of its Neptunian qualities, it does bring things to light. Ooh, two cards just came. In the near future, we have the Hierophant, Government, and the Two of Wands. Okay, so this is definitely around the government's plan. This government's plans for what's going to happen in Iran. The movement of these aircraft, the continued pressure on Iran around its nuclear capabilities. The Two of Pentacles. So that's deals trying to be made. Kushner, perhaps, allegedly, supposedly, for entertainment purposes only, right? The Lovers. There were Two of Pentacles and the Lovers. This is about making some deals. The Ace of Swords in the hopes and fears. So that's what they want, to make a deal, 100%. And the Four of Wands, a commitment. All right, you all. I'll show you the cards. And this is no surprise. It's sort of obvious on, from what we know how they operate. So just as we understand that Witkoff and Kushner went to, say, for instance, the Gaza situation with Israel, this waterfront property development, because what they're doing is, it's not so much on the front end of the military participation of it, but it's on the back end of, here's what we want. Here's the investment. Here's the money. Here's how we want to impact development in your region of the country. So what was taking place in this whistleblower complaint that apparently Tulsi Gabbard hid, locked away, there was the communications around Kushner's, and they said it was almost gossipy, like whatever these two foreign nationals were talking about, it was sort of snarky and gossipy, but we didn't get the specifics, okay? And that's why Five of Swords, they're trying to hide the specifics of what they said around him. But the Seven of Wands was also about building Kushner's presence, building what he hopes recent past is going to be a successful endeavor in some sort of you Iran, leaders in Iran, you play nice with us, this can be beneficial to you. Always selling, he and Witkoff always selling that win-win probability, right? Now, underneath, we have the root of the situation is the hermit. And it's there's some they want something from that region of the country. This really they're using the pretext of nuclear armament, or trying to tamp down Iran's nuclear capabilities, but it's because they want more. They want their presence. They want more to do with development in Iran. Only reason why Witkoff and Kushner would be involved in it. Now, remember above, what's sort of looking down on the situation is the hangman, which means they have not made a whole lot of progress, right? Their attempts to have, to muscle in, they have not made a whole lot of progress. And that is why from near future, government and the Two of Wands moving forward, that is why we're seeing all this momentum around sending these aircraft carriers into the Middle East, moving them out of the Caribbean into the Middle East, because there's a continued pressure to force Iran to make a deal. Like, you don't want us to have to actually start to come in and take over. Therefore, I'm going to get to it in a moment. You've got Hegs Breath and Frump in Fort Bragg with these special forces folks, clapping and giving them recognition, but pumping them up for what? What's the next assignment? All right. Now, Two of Pentacles at the base of the staff with the Lovers. This is a partnership that it's not just the partnership between the U.S. and Iran, but it feels more like it feels like a sales job. But and I know that sounds kind of trite, but it just feels like trying to convince Iran, not so much we're trying to take away your capabilities, but you cooperating with us will be financially, Two of Pentacles, money, deals, partnerships. It will be financially to your benefit to get a little more low key with your nuclear armament, because we're about to bring some money. And Ace of Swords, a deal being struck, or the desire for a deal being struck with the Four of Wands as the outcome. Commitment, something. This is in a different kind of reading. The Four of Wands very often indicates a marriage, right? A marriage, or buying a home, or something that has a long-term commitment. So I think overall, the energy that I'm getting here around what this report entailed, or what this gossip was, you all, is that Kushner is trying to play a role to basically work a deal with the leaders of Iran around, of course, using the nuclear situation as a pretext for applying pressure to get them to buy in, to get the Iranian leaders to buy in and cooperate. But what they are actually planning is self-interest. Spirit, is this, I'm going to go to my predictions deck. All right, Spirit, is there a plan? So is Kushner, entertainment purposes only? Who knows, right? But was there something in there where Kushner is actually planning property development or something monetarily beneficial in Iran? Taken by force. Yikes. That's going to lead me to, like I said, they're in Fort Bragg today talking to these special forces, the ones who went and captured Maduro. All right, taken by force, strong arming Iran, distraction and illusion. The deal that this feels like the deal that Kushner is trying to offer them around investment, property development, waterfront property is a distraction. it's trying to get the Iranian leaders to think I know you think we're a serious threat, or we really want to come in and and use military force, but we don't. We really want to play nice with you. We're looking for a win-win. You play nice with us, we'll play nice with you. I'm done. Thank you, Spirit. Check it out. All for money. You see? All for money. So that's what happened. And they did not. So apparently Susie Wiles must have told Tulsi Gabbard, girl, put this thing up. Lock it up in the safe. Now, I'm not even sure how it wound up coming out of the safe, or why we're just now finding out about it, 8 months later. But that's what's up, you all. Kushner has been trying to there's a long range plan, all for the money. There's a long range plan to do something similar to what we have seen being played out in Gaza, right? We knew that. So he's going in to try, and he and Witkoff are going in to try and navigate, development, investments, buying their way in there. And to do that on the back end is, now we're going to go to what's happening in Fort Bragg and Hegs breath and Frump going in front of the special forces today. Is there a plan? These aircraft carriers are already on their way, if they're not there already. Spirit, is there a plan? I don't know why these cards are sticking. Spirit is saying go to a different deck. All right, I shall. Let's go to this one. All right. Spirit, this meeting, this visit to Fort Bragg to talk to the special forces, is this gearing them up for potential deployment to Iran? Because also when I'm getting them, that means a ground incursion, right? I mean, if these are the people who went on the ground, went and captured Maduro. Is this a part of a movement toward getting them prepared for their next mission? Page of Cups, smoothing things over with them, or trying to get them geeked up and, we love you. We know you want to love us back, with the troops in Fort Bragg. The Chariot. Yeah. There is a plan. I mean, that's the Chariot. Y'all know the Chariot, especially those of you who are readers. If you don't, the Chariot is we're about to go for it. And we're going to go across any obstacles that come in our way to get what we want and achieve our aims. And the idea with that Page of Cups coming first is they need the buy-in. They need to, hoorah and get these special forces to feel that this is this is in the best interests of themselves as military forces. Here comes the Fool at the base. New place, new assignment. Wow. Oof. Queen of Wands in the near recent past. Seven of Swords up above, deception. Not wanting too much. Five of Wands is a conflict coming up in the near future. I'll show these to you. So this is the, but there's some pushback. And I feel, Spirit, is this Congress pushing back? Is this Congress pushing back? Because we know the Lovers, yes. Okay, so here's the deal. Hegs breath and look, me leaning all in. Hegs breath and Frump are trying to get these special forces to get ready for it. That Fool, get ready for their next assignment. Potentially, again, entertainment purposes only, who knows? But potentially to Iran, all right? and getting them geeked up, at least to be prepared to be mobilized and accept their next new assignment, the Fool. All right. But then in the near future, we got this Five of Wands. There's a conflict, and that conflict is coming from lack of unification. I think Congress is going to, especially in the wake of what happened with Venezuela, and there's still questions around, the illegality of that, right? That's what I think we're seeing. And we know Hegs breath as there's the star. Exactly. There's going to be this is not going to be a piece of cake for them. They're going to psychologically try and amp up these forces and do the pledge of allegiance to Frump and all of that. Hegs breath on his whole warrior mentality, da 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 da. So this is just, hooping and hollering and trying to get them pumped up and buy into whatever the mission may be whenever they are called upon. But the star with the Lovers in relation to that Five of Wands, I think Congress is going to have something to say about that. Nine of Pentacles, the funding. Page of Swords, the Congress saying, you haven't talked to us about this. You're not going to just haul off and make some moves here, Pete, without talking to somebody about this. This will not be a repeat of Venezuela. And of course, the stakes are way higher and way different. Iran is not Venezuela, The Six of Cups, wanting to, Congress feeling, not going to go whole hog there. With still a lot of question marks around how they move. But also, we've seen some things recently around them starting to claw back, or at least potentially claw back some of their power. That's that Six of Cups. And the outcome is the world. Okay, got it. That's beautiful. Thank you, Spirit. I'm not so sure that this will go according to plan. If the plan is to go into Fort Bragg, etc., start moving all these pieces around, appearing to be ready to do whatever needs to be done. I saw, as I'm sure many of you did as well, Frump saying essentially to Iran, you don't want this smoke. You're going to be, the clock is ticking and you only have a certain amount of time to tamp it down, enter some sort of an agreement with us. Goes back to that prior reading where we were seeing all that partnership stuff, all those twos. So to enter some sort of an agreement with us. And if not, there's a problem, you're going to have a problem. But I think the world card here is on two things, on two fronts. One, increasingly, Frump wants to distract, and try and make moves on the international stage as we are going ever further into 2026, and we know what's happening domestically. So that's part of it as well. He wants to try and exert his, influence. And why'd I just pull strength? As I said, influence, right? He wants to try and exert that. That's it. It's strong arming. It's bluster, but there are some plans there. Like, these people will haul off and do some things, just as we saw with Venezuela, right? But I think there's going to be a hiccup around Congress saying, hold up, hold up just a minute. All right, you all. Videos, surveillance, DOG surveillance of congressional review of the files, right? Bondi shows up at the hearing with this burn book. She already has her little prep notes that they've given her. Her staff has given her around each and every person to be able to, to say, we know you looked at this, that, and the third. But we also know in the wake of that video that we saw that apparently came from a British outlet, Spirit, are they afraid, or are they trying to get ahead of, is the DOJ trying to get ahead of what they know Congress is going to discover so they can prevent its release to the public? And is this around videos? I just keep feeling pulled to that video is like only the start. We know even last year, there were so many images that started to get released, right? So this isn't just about reading emails and text-based documents. There are videos. Spirit, are we going to start to see more videos, whether they come from international outlets? And they may have to. Ace of Wands. Spirit ain't playing today. I love it. Ace of Wands, yes. And Wands, fire, catching fire, building momentum, the desire to go ahead and get these things out. Remembering as well that in the wake of a lot of these documents, we've seen action being taken in on the international front, where a lot of people are being fired and being, facing the repercussions of their actions, while here in the US it's the constant, cover it up, protect them, close the ranks. The Eight of Cups, the Eight of Wands, the refusal to walk away. Eight of Cups energy, as many of you know, is about, okay, let's just do whatever we got to do to keep it pushing around release of videos and additional evidence. So there's this, let's keep it, let's move on from this. But the Eight of Wands says, oh no, I bet we won't. I bet we're going to keep talking about it. And I bet we're going to see more and more in the coming weeks and months. I get, Spirit, is this going to be a factor throughout this year? I think some of us have expected, like, it's just going to hit, and all of this information will hit, and then hit the fan, as it were, and then it would be the repercussions come afterward. But we've seen the drip, drip, drip. Spirit, is this going to be in play for the greater part of 2026? The continued release of Epstein files. Two of Pentacles, slow, steady. And the Moon. Yeah. So this is going to drag out. But it also, like, that Spirit is saying that's not to get people more frustrated. It's really about the resistance, which we see, the resistance to having this really, really just all get laid on the table, right? It's the absolute resistance to do it, because not just a Frump, of course, the main character that people want these revelations around, but because of so many people who are involved. I just heard SCOTUS as I said that. I mean, we know nobody's surprised by this at this point. This goes to the absolute height of heights of political leaders, business leaders, financial leaders, every facet of society, right? Thinking even about yesterday, the news broke a woman, this attorney with Goldman Sachs. I think I wrote her name down. You all saw the story about her. This Kathy Rumler was getting gifts from Epstein and calling him her uncle and her big brother. Yeah. Huge star. Apparently was an attorney for the Obama administration. Like, big deal that she is in it. A woman. Women being complicit in this. Well, there is Ghislaine, right? And there's the Chariot. Yeah. Ain't gonna stop. I just heard, can't stop, won't stop. So just be patient. I think that's the message I'm getting from Spirit. The reason that the DOJ is really hyped up on this surveillance is because they know they're trying to get ahead of, as they see people in Congress review these documents and images and whatever. They're trying to stay ahead of the 8 ball so they can get an idea of what's coming and what is going to be released to the public, so that they can get their stories together around how it's either been taken out of context, or it was wrong, or it's been, whatever. That's what's happening. But I'll tell you, Congress is not playing that game. And just as we had, the Lindsey Grahams of the world hooping and hollering about Jack Smith and the phone records, the intrusion on their phone records, the intrusion on these senators of having their every move recorded and surveilled. Yeah, like who has rights here, right? Who has rights? Not, yeah, that's going to be a really interesting thing. All right, final thing I want to take a look at, you all, is whatever this situation that happened with the airspace over El Paso. And this, now we're finding out that, they shot down some party balloons because they were supposed to be Mexican cartel drones. Sean Duffy, FAA, is like hooping and hollering like, yo, Pete, what's up with, like, just pick up a phone, dude, and tell me this is your plan, because I'm responsible for the safety of air traffic controllers and commercial airspace. Like, you can, they apparently found out what was happening with this border patrol shooting down these party balloons after the fact, and had to do a 1 2 3 stop everything, ground everything, which had people stranded at the airport and what have you. You saw it. Spirit, is this leading to, well, let me just ask what is this leading to? The conflict between the military Pentagon efforts in that region, supposedly because of Mexican cartel drones, and the safety of the people, commercial flights and the safety. What's up with that? Where's this headed? Where's this headed between Sean Duffy and Hegs Breath? What are they going to do about this to protect people? The Knight of Pentacles, so there are talks, and the Two of Pentacles are telling me don't ignore it. There are, because this has clearly been made public. Everybody, when the news broke that the airspace had been shut down around El Paso, people were like, what? Are we being in bed? Like, are we at war? Are we being in bed? What is going on? It was so in the moment, the developments taking place. So they recognize that now that this has been made so public, and the contention and the absolute lack of communication between these two entities, the FAA and the Border Patrol, has to stop. The fool. And this is kind of an adult image, so I'll be careful how I hold that up for you. But the fool says there has to be a restart. The fool ruled by Uranus as well, so we know Uranus can be like unexpected, wild changes and shifts, and that is wild. Like, to think about being an air traffic controller and having no idea what may be happening out there. There was also, Spirit just reminded me, there was a near miss in December with a JetBlue flight coming out of Curacao, I believe, in the Caribbean, that there was also an Air Force tanker that did not have its transponder on, and said that they came within 20 seconds. They were on the same altitude. They came within 20 seconds of a crash. And the JetBlue pilots were recorded as saying, like, this is ridiculous. How can you not tell us this? They were not in communication. Their transponder, Air Force transponder, was not on. Fortunately, however, they fixed it. Thank God. There was nothing that happened. But this is the type of thing that is building. That's the Uranus energy. That's the fool saying, you got to do better than this. You got to tell us what's going on. And the Three of Wands. Okay, I'm actually really happy to see that, you all, because again, in terms of avoiding, something that could be really catastrophic with regards to commercial airspace and flights. So I think there is going to be some sort of collaborative effort or better lines of communication between the FAA and Border Patrol, because you're going to see an amping up. Spirit, confirm what's happening in that region. The death, ooh, don't like it. Why is that here? Four Swords. Wanting to avoid it. Nine of Cups, exactly. Wishing. Okay, God, whoo. Okay, wanting to avoid it. Because they also recognize that, forbid, may it never be so. Should something, say like that JetBlue flight, should something really go south, keeping in mind, what was it last year, that situation that happened, I think, outside of DC, and Reagan, like, can't afford that. And they really cannot afford any serious mishaps this year, in an election year where the public is already so frustrated over so many things, that something like, you know, a catastrophic event like that can't happen. So I'm glad that, I think what I'm getting is, it's good. It's a good thing. It's frustrating, but it's a good thing that this story has really come to light. It's a good thing that we're learning about this sort of, head to head with Sean Duffy, FAA, and Hegs Breath, and Border Patrol folk, because they've got to, the last thing they can afford right now is to have something really go bad. All right. And recognizing that with that fool as well, they're going to continue to amp up around these so-called Mexican cartel drones, whether that's a real thing, made up thing, exaggerated thing. They're going to continue to do that, but they cannot do it at the risk of commercial flights. All right. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your intelligence. I love the comments. I read them. I try and respond. I appreciate the hypes. And please do spread the word about my channel if you enjoy the content. I love doing this work. I love spending this time here with you on the platform. And let's keep it going. All right. Have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday. And remember, in the meantime, keep those chins up, shoulders back. Power to the people in Minneapolis. I know, it's not over. Like, this is just now. They got to figure out how to recover, regroup economically, psychologically. So much that they went through. But man, where are they the standard bearers for what we will see play out, with what happens as we move forward in this year and moving towards the voting. Nobody's fooled. Nobody thinks that suddenly we're not going to see repeats, to some extent or whatever extent, with what we saw play out in Minneapolis. But the people of that city stood the hell up. And I give you a right on for that. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. Please feel free to give a shout out to our fellow citizens in the comments. Keep our shoulders back, heaven above us, sky above us, earth beneath us, grounding us, supporting us, and soul within us. All right, I'll talk to you real soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye.